Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Gadget Storytellers. My guest today is Izabela Kammerer. In my phone, her name is Izzy, sounds like camera. She's a mental health therapist that works in Mount Vernon. She has an office downtown. I first met her because our kids went to Westview together, kindergarten, and so I got to see her at a few different events when they were little, and then I also coached her oldest in track as well. Izzy and I just got along. We talk about how we were sort of Instagram friends mostly, and I held a little Instagram intervention for her as well. So you can hear about that in the episode. One thing that we talked about and I wanted to mention was Izzy has a book inside of her that she needs to get out. And I've noticed that I've met quite a few of my guests. A few have written books, but quite a few have books or some kind of writing material that they want to get out, whether it's a screenplay, a book, a children's book, novel, song, something. So in the episode, I told Izzy, look, Izzy, this is what we're going to do. You just need to not be distracted and you need to sit down and do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold monthly writing support group meetings at the Central Skagit Library in Cedar Woolley. We'll meet once a month and we'll sit down and we'll write. And that's it. You can tell us what you're doing or you don't have to, but you just have to show up and write. And I completely forgot that I said that to her. I thought it was pretty cool because my episode last week with Jerry Lee Steamer, he also mentioned that he has a few books that he just needs to get out. So I just felt like it was perfect timing to do this. So the last Friday of the month, January 31st, from 5 until 6 at Central Skagit Library. I rented the big room. It's like 15 people. I think when you go in the library, it's kind of near the back. To be honest, I'm not really sure. I think I'll put a sign outside that says Skagit Storytellers Podcast Writers Support Group. So if you show up a few minutes late, you know where to go. It might just be me, but it'd be cool if other people showed up too. Okay, so that's the one big thing happening. Other exciting news, pretty much nothing. Spencer's band. They have a bunch of shows scheduled for March. There's one at Cats, I believe, at the end of March. There's one the third week of March at Makeshift in Bellingham. But the one I'm most excited for is the one in Concrete. So March 1st, last year, for Mardi Gras, there was a big festival with like 6 bands. It was so much fun. And we're going to do it again. So this year, music starts at 5. And the bands are, hopefully Spencer comes in at some point and reminds me if I forget a band. We got Pretty Much Nothing, Mild Mallard, which is Ada Miller's new band. Supremo, Jesse Eldridge's new band. They do like 90s and 2000s covers. And see, I'm already forgetting them. Supremo, Pretty Much Nothing. Something Strange. I've never heard Something Strange, but Mild Mallard did a show with them at Rockport a couple weeks ago, and I heard they're just amazing. So I'm excited for them. Oh, District Forgotten, which is...
Are you talking about me?
Yes, go over there. Go on that mic. District Forgotten, which is Colin. His parents own the hub. Colin's band. I got District Forgotten, Pretty Much Nothing, Something Strange, Supremo. I feel like I'm missing one. Who's the other band? What is it? No. That's for one of your other shows.
Just getting all of these shows straight.
But like I said though, you know what? That's it actually.
Oh,
that was the 5 bands. But I was gonna say, there's also a super secret special guest which we can't mention. But trust me, if you like
Bob Marley,
if you like music in the Valley, and just come. Trust me, you'll like this band. That's all I have to say.
if we bill it, they will come.
And that's Saturday, March 1st at 5 o'clock at the Hub in Concrete. $10 cover. I mean, for 5 bands. More. Actually, there's more than 5, but it's less than $2 a band.
Yeah.
But the other exciting part about Mardi Gras in Concrete is the Mardi Gras parade. So I forget where it starts. It's somewhere down the hill. And then it ends at like the
Up
Hub,
the
the
hill.
theater. Yeah, it ends at the other end of the street on Main Street.
It's going to be a hill of a time.
I was in it, I think, a couple years ago. Olive was in it, I think. The fun part about the parade, though, this year is it's going to be, is it MC'd? Is that the word?
We're going to be auctioneering the parade.
We're going to be announcing the parade. MCing, announcing the parade.
MC, yeah.
Spencer's going to play music.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's going to make comments, and I'll make comments, and we'll announce the people in the parade. And we'll probably spout off some facts about Mardi Gras, and I think it's going to be a good time.
It should be a real hoot.
So we're going to do that, and then the shows start shortly after that. So stick around for a few hours, eat some food at the Hub. I heard AJ's cooking at the Hub now.
Oh,
You know
nice.
AJ, the film director?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And his giant friends.
I don't think the scary guy in Hawkett is going to be in the kitchen with them. It's just him.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a small kitchen.
Lurch.
Okay, so I listed your cat show,
Mm-hmm.
your makeshift show,
Mm-hmm.
the Mardi Gras show.
Mm-hmm.
There is one in April, too, that I won't get to yet because we're not sure. But I wanted to mention a show at the Muse that I think everyone should go to. I want to talk about the Muse really quick, too. Spencer and I have been working the door at the Muse, and it's been so much fun. Thanks to Tim for throwing that out there and getting us involved. I am noticing that on Friday when we were there, it was almost sold out. Saturday, they had Petunia and the Vipers from Canada. It was sold out. And Sunday, they had, is it Bishop Duffy?
Yeah.
Remember? That
Yeah.
was sold out. Yeah. So I think you need to buy tickets ahead of time because it's going to sell out. And they don't often have tickets at the door.
Place is hopping.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. It's a fun vibe there. Anyway, so on January 30th, it's Devin, and I hope I'm saying this right, Champlin? Devin Champlin from the Sons of
Yeah.
Rainier. Do you know who he is?
No, but that's right.
I got the Sons of Rainier right.
I'm not even going to look at the spelling. That's right.
And Jeff Mack and Hannah Wyatt are also playing that night. And it's a dual album release celebration. We don't often get those around here, except when we had her name was Princess and the Enthusiasts playing. That was kind of a bit of a celebration for both of them.
It was in a sense a duel, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But they had their like official release party at the
church.
unknown recording studio, I believe it's called.
It was something, I thought it was a church.
Yeah, but it's inside of like an old church, I think.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so you can tell I haven't done an intro in so long. I'm so scattered.
Hibbity hoopla.
No, wait. Thursday, January 30th, go to the Muse so you can see Jeff Mack and Hannah Wyatt. And we listened to Hannah Wyatt's album, on repeat for a couple weeks. And then now it's replaced with Jeff Mack's album.
We've had like a new local artist album like every 2 weeks
It's
for
like-
the past couple months that we've just listened to on repeat, and then a new one comes out and it's like, oh, I guess we got to switch to this one now.
Yeah, it was the Enthusiast for a while, and then her name was Princess for a while, and then Hannah for a while, and now Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the first track of Jeff's album when his daughter, Olive, is reading. It's very, very cute. I forget what's the name of the song, but there's one called Signs, I think. I'm probably getting it wrong, but that one. There's so many good songs. There's just...
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, fantastic. Anyway, so Thursday, January 30th, hopefully we can go. Oh, I'm recording on Thursdays again.
What?
Darn it. Okay, I'm gonna have to talk to my people who I'm recording with that day.
How are we going to get this show postponed?
Yeah. So, and the other good thing about buying tickets online at the Muse is that they're cheaper. So, $12 advance for Hannah, Jeff, and Devin's show, $15 at the venue. But that's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is like you literally might not get a ticket if you don't buy one online. So, buy one online, and you never know when you come to the Muse next. Spencer and I might be at the door.
Whoa.
putting wristbands on you. The other thing I like about the Muse too is that they always do doors 7, at least for upstairs. Doors 7, show at 8. I love that. There's no doubt when it all starts. Also, bring food because there's no food there. I think they have charcuterie plates, but
what we had some like spicy salted peanuts in that Frito snack mix. We're playing cribbage. I mean,
we just stopped at the gas station and bought a bunch of snacks.
And everybody in the place is, in their maybe 60s.
Yeah, we did it. We
look so out of place.
We did the classic rock band on Friday, and it was really good music. But yeah, we were definitely a little out of place, playing crib and eating peanuts while people were dancing.
The crib probably looked enticing to that clientele, but.
Yeah, I think I beat you really bad that time.
Nah, I skunked you. Remember that time at the Muse when I skunked you?
Okay, besides your shows and that show, Morgan McHugh has an album release party. God, this never ends. Morgan McHugh has an album release party show at the Prospect Theater. That's February 6th.
Bellingham?
In Bellingham. Yeah. So go to that. And I think that's the last album release party I can think of for now. Some people are going to be glued to their TVs on Sunday, February 9th. Raiders fans might not be, though.
Woo!
Do you want to talk about that while I look for the info?
First, I was going to ask, did you bring up Jack Mattingly's
show
coming up?
Jack has a show on Valentine's Day.
He's got a sweet, sweet, sweet show coming up on Valentine's Day.
That's it. He's got a show Valentine's Day, so show up. We don't have plans on Valentine's. Are you surprised? Are you going to surprise me by taking me to the Muse to see Jack on Valentine's
Jack,
Day?
wear your finest attire. Now I'm trying to remember. Is that at the old Edison? Is that where he's doing that one?
No, it's at the Muse.
It is at the Muse?
We saw the poster when we were there.
Okay, that's what I thought. I couldn't remember for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm looking up some details about the show on February 9th.
Mm-hmm.
But can you tell us why Raiders fans might not be enjoying February 9th as much as some other teams?
The Super Bowl?
Yeah, remember you were going to give a recap of the Raiders season?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, it's over. We did.
This is why people listen to this podcast, is for the recap of the Raiders.
This just in. We did just enough this year to be absolutely terrible and somehow managed to end up with the 6th overall pick in the draft this year, which means that chances at getting one of the best quarterbacks are basically off the table. I suppose maybe a wide receiver. I think it would be kind of silly to go for a running back in the first round, but that's probably what we're going to end up doing. And we'll go from there. But, yeah, it's just like the Patriots, but now it's the Chiefs. So it's the Chiefs world. We're all just living in it. They're going to win it all. I'm going to cry.
Is this your prediction right now? It's going to be Chiefs in the Super Bowl?
My guess is, yeah, they'll beat the Bills with some sort of tomfoolery going on with the refereeing. Either the refs or, I don't know, something silly will happen. Chiefs will end up winning, miraculously because that's who they are. Then, I think the Eagles will beat the Commanders. Commanders they'll have a good game. And then, I see the Chiefs beating the Eagles for the second time.
And this sports
to win their third straight.
This sports
back off that microphone. I'm talking.
I was going to say this sports section of the podcast is only for Pete Rubel.
Hey, Pete.
Pete's the only one who's into sports in the music scene. Okay. Thank you for the update. I found what I was looking for. So if you're not super into the Super Bowl, but you like music, you should go to Chuckanut Bay Distillery. That's in Bellingham, and the Bad Posture Club is playing. And I'm gonna admit this, I didn't listen to any of the music yet from the Bad Posture Club, and sometimes when I go to shows, I kind of like doing that. I just heard they're awesome, and I trust the person who told me. Thank you, Pace. And I'm just gonna go and see what it's like. I have no idea how they sound. Folk duo, I guess I kind of have some idea, but yeah. And I didn't realize it was on the Super Bowl when I bought the ticket, so I have an extra if anybody wants to go.
I had to pull the once a year trump card early this year. I said, sorry, I gotta go. I know my brother's gonna make a pig trough amount of food for everybody, and sit down and most likely watch a team that I hate win it all. But that's life as a Raiders fan, so it's a vicious cycle.
All right, so I think we got all the shows. I think that's it
for now. I mean, that covers pretty much the rest of January and a little of February. So.
I mean, gosh, there's probably 10 or whatever shows at Lyman that I can think of.
Couldn't snap.
Undecided's playing in Lyman soon. I saw that. You can go see Jim Victor play.
At the tavern?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
Yeah. So, anyway, and then I just saw Wes is going to do open mics at Skagit River Brewing. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, lots of great shows. Thanks for listening, guys. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Spencer, for putting up with all of this.
What does he say in 7 days, or what is it, 7 Days in Hell? Indubitably.
Oh, yeah, we were going to talk about movies, but I feel like it's almost like a list of movies I fall asleep to.
Indubitably.
Waterworld? Fell asleep to that last.
We got pretty far through that. You made it pretty far.
Fell asleep to A Fish Called Wanda.
That one, yeah.
A few days ago.
About our life consists of fragments of movies. We're about halfway through that one.
Yeah. But we watched movies. We stayed awake for... we watched A Clockwork Orange. It took us three tries.
We did. It also took us quite a while to get the DVD player figured out in there. But
yeah, we hacked our Las Vegas TV to get the DVD player working.
Tried to break one of the windows in the hotel, and the feds showed up.
We had a really, really nice jacuzzi soaking tub in the main room of the hotel, but we didn't have a microwave, so we were very upset because Spencer couldn't make popcorn.
We went to a gourmet chain known as AM/PM a couple of times across the street.
Yeah.
Cheap coffee there.
We're like the wrong people to go
muffins.
to Vegas. No drinking, no gambling. We're so cheap.
Blue Man Group was rad.
We got big sodas and coffees from AM/PM across the street.
Yeah, also no. This sounds so cheap of me. No free sodas in the casinos there. Very disappointed. Skagit Casino, all the soda I want.
And the only games we played were crib.
Yep.
We played crib inside the Sphere. That was fun.
That was pretty cool.
Okay. This is a really long intro.
Hell yeah.
I miss doing intros. I wish Olive was awake for this. She might be awake, though. She's literally in the next room over. So
she was very tired from our construction last night.
Oh, yeah. We have some more news about our house and some stuff we're doing to it, but we're going to wait. We're going to wait a little bit. But we just want to say thank you to Stone.
Yes.
I think we'll make the announcement when we have Stone's episode out.
Yes, a little inspiration from Tim.
Yeah.
After Stone's initial idea, his inception that he just planted into our minds.
Yeah.
Completely blew them into shit. In a good way.
Okay. Should we give the hint of the driving crooner? Is that the hint? The hint as to what we're doing?
Yeah. Just think driving crooner. It's got to be just right, or it looks like fucking dog shit.
All right, that's it. Enjoy your week. Be of use, and go do something hard.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers. With
Yeah. But you're a professional at this, so you should be fine.
In my head. I was watching something the other day. Actors on Actors or whatever, it's interviews.
Yeah.
They were all talking about how they, from Yay High, would give interviews, fake interviews, like when they won awards and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I do that all the time. And
Like
then
an
I was
acceptance speech?
Yeah.
You do that?
Yes. Since I was like Yay High. And I was like, oh my God, where's my acting career?
Wait, so what award are you winning? For what?
All of them.
Best actress?
Oscars, Grammys. Not a Tony, though, because I don't think I could do like a play, but...
Let's be realistic. Come on. I love that. I always like to talk about how we met.
Okay.
I met you probably at Westview. I think most of our conversations happened over Instagram.
Yes.
I think just enjoying each other's posts.
I think so.
Because you have, I want to say, is it 3 accounts?
2.
You have 2.
I
closed
did
one.
have 3. I closed one, yes.
This is an intervention. You have too many Instagram accounts.
I tell you, this is, and I feel so bad saying this because I don't know why I just judge myself for it. At 43, I had to take like a month-long Instagram break because it was like literally affecting my life. I was on it all the time, checking it all the time, looking at likes, reading what I was like, you're going crazy.
So you weren't necessarily checking up. Were you just checking up on what people said or liked about your stuff? Or was it like you were interested in what other people were doing?
Kind of both. I was more interested in what other people were doing and then trying to maybe like recreate it. And then it was like, oh, did I get as many likes as the other person? Or like, did that post, just the stupid stuff that you hear teenagers doing?
I was just going to say, now that we have teenagers, you probably think like, I don't want them to do this.
Yeah.
So why am I doing
Yes.
it? Yeah.
Yes. I do need this intervention. I do.
Okay, James is going to walk in next
Yeah.
and tell you how he really feels.
you
No,
go.
I have to say, whenever I think of your husband, James, I always think of the track meet that he volunteered at.
Yes.
Oh, that was it. Because I also I coached track.
Yes.
And you guys were always there
Yes.
helping out. And he showed up in, was it like an old school tracksuit?
Yes. Specifically ordered for the occasion. And he still has it and he still wears it. And sometimes the kids will wear it. I think it should be framed, actually.
Are they just all the same size now?
Pretty much.
I don't think I've seen Lando in forever. So
Yeah, he's still a little bit like short-ish.
Yeah.
But the jacket fits, the pants are a little long.
But no, I really think I just think that's the way to go.
I think too, like when you think of it that way, like Burlington Tigers and just these smaller schools, because of the change, I think it would be more a feeling of just unified versus this division, because I think that's where people are kind of losing it. They feel like they're being divided. They are going to be moved physically, but we're still part of a team. It's the same community. Our kids are going to end up at the same high school.
Yeah. If you made them all Tigers, like...
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay.
Vote for Liz. That's the person. Yeah.
No, I'm not allowed to run for office because I'm not American. You know that. Wait, are you a citizen?
Yeah. Are you?
No.
Oh.
Were you waiting till I answer? You're like,
no,
no. I'm not going to answer.
Listen, I can tell you the whole story.
I just got my green card renewal notice in the mail.
Would you want to become a citizen?
I mean, I don't actually care that much because I know that I think I can be dual. Yeah, and the only thing I can't do as a green card holder is I can't vote and I can't run for office and I can't do jury duty, which I get letters a lot. And I was like,
okay, I want that perk.
Work it on your system that says I can't. Why do I keep getting these? Anyway,
they
don't do it. Okay.
Yeah, it's too much work.
So anyway,
allegedly.
I got here on a K1 visa, so I always tell people, I'm like, that show 90 Day Fiance? Mm-hmm. That's me.
That's you.
Although we didn't meet. I haven't watched the show, but it just seems a little shady to me. It seems a bit Russian Bride. I don't know.
It is. Don't watch it.
Okay.
It's not good for humans.
We just met overseas, fell in love, whatever.
Yeah.
The normal way.
The normal way.
Now that I'm married to another American, I don't think I'm going to leave. So,
yeah,
we'll see. But I also didn't think I'd be here in Cedar Woolley.
There
in
you
my
go.
new house.
You just never know.
With my drummer husband and with my
Yeah.
new stepson. So yeah, if COVID
Nice.
taught us anything, is that you can't predict the future.
No. And that's why you're going with the flow. And I know it's hard sometimes, but you have to just kind of go with it.
Yeah.
You know, I've been in the United States since 1995. I would have, if you had asked me when I was 14 when I moved here, like, I didn't know. At 43, I mean, I've been here longer than in Poland because that's where I was born, but it was such a journey. So it's like, and I never think of going back. I do have a lot of family there, but I just can't imagine going back because I think for me, maybe it would even be a bit of a culture shock.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of it is similar. I live in a similar area where I grew up because my grandparents were farmers. My other grandparents lived in a city, and I lived in a city vacations, you know, on the farm. Skagit County is like perfection. I laughed when we bought a house in Burlington. We had to sign a clause that we would not complain about animal smells because there's like a chicken farm and there's, you know, like so cow. I was like, this is fresh air. What are you talking about? So yeah, I think it's just great.
Okay, so you were born in 81?
81, yes.
Okay, so in Poland.
In Poland. Best year to be born. I'm no offense.
The best year.
Just 81. It just looks cool when you write it down. 1981. And then you have to scroll down on the stupid forms, right? The scrolling, yeah.
It gets longer and longer every year.
Yeah, born in 81. My dad, he's always been a commercial fisherman, and he worked for just big fishing companies, gone a lot on ships, you know, working and whatnot. And at one point he got hired by American Seafoods, and he would come to work here. They would obviously go fish in Alaska, come back here.
He would go from Poland to Alaska?
So he would fly into Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Get on a boat, go to Alaska for months on end, come back to Seattle, maybe work in the shipyard for a little bit, and then come home. And it was through his job that they offered. First, they offered him and other employees a green card because they wanted to retain them. And obviously, they needed like a working visa green card to be able to do what they were doing. And then they started offering them to, like, if you wanted to, they could extend it to your family. And my dad was like, I want to do that. My mom was very hesitant. She didn't want to because, again, I believe she was like in her 30s.
So when your dad was here working, did he get like time to explore?
A little bit,
okay.
But not like too much. A lot of his time was taken up from Alaska, Seattle, then catching a plane to fly to Poland, maybe spend 2 weeks to a month, and then having to come back. But then he would be in Seattle, let's say, for like a month working on the ship while it was, you know, docked.
Oh, okay.
He was like, I could be spending that time with you guys.
Yeah.
Because I could just be commuting wherever that
Exactly,
was. Yeah. So.
Okay, so I'm going to... when you listen to Jeff Mack's episode, you'll see that he talked about living in St. Louis, and I thought it was a state for some reason. So I'm looking at a map. I'm not good with geography.
Yeah.
So Poland, there's water just north of Poland.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of water above Finland and Sweden and Norway. So why did he go all the way to Alaska? Is there no fishing?
So
commercial fishing over there?
When we were living in Poland, I can't tell you the name of the company because I just don't remember. They would go fish a lot in Russia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But a friend of his got hired by American Seafood specifically, and they're just based, well, actually their CEOs, I believe at the time, were from Norway.
And those were just the waters.
Just right. So once he started working specifically for American Seafoods, he would have to fly up here, and that's when they would go to Alaska. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's how we got here.
Yeah.
My mom and my brother.
Okay.
Yes. So we got the green cards. My mom kind of didn't want to do it, but my dad applied. We got him. So in 1984, we came to Florida to visit my dad's sister.
This is your first experience of America as Florida.
Yes.
Okay.
We went there in like May, June. Hurricane. Yeah. So awful.
And
just
you're
like,
14
like 13, 14.
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with my cousins. I think it's cool that we're like sheltering in place. I did not like the humidity.
There was a
it was
hurricane
awful.
happening.
Yeah, there was like a warning. I would have to look up which one it was. My
gosh.
mom was like, no, we are not moving here. There's no way. So we go back to Poland because we came for like maybe, I don't know, 3-4 weeks.
So was your mom kind of thinking like, oh, like all of America is like this?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
she was as bad at geography as I was.
I think I think she just didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, I know because my cousins still live in Florida. They've lived there forever now. They're like, no, like Clearwater, just geographically, the humidity is like there, but if you go maybe to like Naples or somewhere else, it's not so bad. So,
so it's different in Florida.
It's different, okay, yeah. Okay. So we come back to Poland. I go to school. My dad says, I really want you guys to move here. Why don't you fly into Seattle? Because if we were to move here, this is where we would move, to Washington State, Seattle. We land at Chicago Airport. And, again, the year's 1995. They look at our passports and they're like, why were you guys gone for a year? And through a translator, because I did not speak English at the time, neither did my mom or my 6-year-old brother.
Wow.
We say, you know, like, I was in school. And they were like, why are you in school in Poland when you have a green card? And we're like, like, how much do we tell them? Like, you know.
We didn't like the hurricane.
Right. Right. Here's my life story. And so then they look at my green card and they're like, your green card is expired. Yeah. So.
Just yours.
The nice human being in Chicago, just mine. So because apparently from 13 to 14, I magically have to renew it. Because my brother's wasn't expired, neither was my mom. It was something about my age.
Oh.
So the wonderful human in Chicago was like, listen, I'm going to let you guys through to Seattle, but if you leave the United States, you can't come back, and stamped our passports like with entry, but wrote a note. If they leave, they can't come back. And then they were like, you immediately need to go to Seattle, renew your green card. And I just remember we were, SeaTac, cheapest hotel or motel that I can't confirm, like, or like I have no proof, but there was like, I think like a murder that night or something. I just remember like police sirens and all that stuff. And, we stayed there and I just remember my parents talking about it. And my mom was freaked out. She was like, oh my gosh, my dad's freaked out because he's like, well, if you guys leave, you can't come back. Like, and our passports are like, this is an official document.
So he tricked you guys into staying.
I think that's what happened. So
he knew that was happening.
So I think the next day or however that worked out, we drove to Seattle. We got my green card renewed and stuff. And, I remember my parents asking us, like, how would you feel? I had no, maybe it was just me. I had no feelings about
like if you stayed.
Like, I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And so we stayed and I've been back a couple times, not a lot, but so that was 1995.
Did your mom stay too?
My mom stayed too. Yeah. So, and
did your
then,
mom warm up to it pretty quick or?
Not very quick.
Like, did you guys live in Seattle?
So we lived in Auburn.
Okay.
And my parents still live in Auburn. They're still in the same house.
They have a farm, right?
They don't, but my mom's parents were the ones that had the farm in Poland.
Okay.
Yeah. They still live there. My mom, I think because she had to learn a foreign language, it was really hard. But my parents found community in so it is a Catholic church, but it's specifically from a Polish community. So they found a lot of support there. They found a lot of friends there. So they've had these friends for 20 plus years now. And so she just kind of got acclimated to here. And, I think when I was like in my 30s and thinking of moving to a different country, I was like, man, that must have been wild. Because again, at 14... I mean, I want to say I just didn't care. I don't know. I maybe have attachment issues. I don't know. I was just like, whatever.
We'll get to your therapy back then.
Right? It's just like, so, but yeah. And so I went into high school, right away. So in Poland, I had finished 7th grade, but the system here is because, it goes by birthday. They were like, you qualify for high school. So I just went into freshman high school, took the English as a second language classes, was the only Polish person in the entire school district for about 3 years.
Wow.
I've learned English really fast. I mean, I took to it. I think there's a huge thing of like when you are immersed into it. So I was in school. TV was in English. One of my teachers was like, subscribe to this book thing. It's like 3 books a month for like $1 back then. And I would read them because I love to read. And that's how I learned English. My mom always says she learned English from watching Judge Judy. So that's kind of like, that was a show. But yeah, we stayed, and I got my citizenship in August of 2001. And then I went off to WSU. And then 9/11 happened.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't hit me till then what it meant to be a citizen. Because I was just like, whatever. I've been here 5 years. I'm taking the test. At the time, I wanted to be a cop, and you had to be a U.S. citizen. So
you want to be a cop?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. Something, things are misfiring. But it was sort of like I was on this track. So that's why, I went ahead and did with it. So I got my citizenship in 2001. When I got married in 2007, I went to Social Security office to change my last name. The lady's like, oh, so you're going to apply for citizenship? And I was like, no, I've been a citizen for 6 years. And she's like, we show you as a green card.
Oh.
And I was like, this country is trying to get rid of me. They're trying to. And I was like, no. And so I had to go back with like my green card. They took a copy of it. I had to come back with my citizenship paper. They took a copy of it. And I was like.
So you did it. It just wasn't recorded.
Just wasn't recorded.
The last step did not take place. Oh.
Yeah.
Weird.
So I'm not checking now because I don't know what I am labeled as categories. Just like, no, I'm not doing it. So yeah, it's wild because I think of that and I'm like, what the heck?
Wow. Yeah.
They were just like,
well, I think about, people, you hear about people, running across the border and trying to sneak in or whatever. I get it. Because CJ has 1 college degree. I had 2 at the time. And we could barely figure out the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very expensive.
Yeah.
So think about people that don't have money.
Yeah.
And they don't speak English.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
They can't hire a lawyer.
No.
So if it's hard for us, I mean.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I have such passion for people who are against illegal immigrants or just immigrants in general. Like, all my friends in high school were immigrants from somewhere. I had no elementary school friends. I had no middle school friends because I didn't grow up here. There are certain things still that come up sometimes when people are like, remember watching this when you were a kid? And I was like, no, we didn't have it. Like, it just like different. This is okay. You might have to edit this out. I didn't grow up on Disney. So going to Disneyland, that first visit, I was like, everybody was like, oh my gosh, this ride and that ride. And I was like, that's cool. It's a roller coaster. It's a boat ride. And they were like, no, it's from this show. And I'm like, sure. I couldn't. Because having kids, I think I have caught up on Disney.
Yeah. But
there are still certain things where I'm like.
Yeah. It was all the magic was lost on you.
Yeah. I'm more into superheroes. So that's the kind of stuff that like, even now 20 plus years later kind of pops up sometimes.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh yeah, I grew up on this. And I'm like, we had different cartoons, different shows, it just wasn't a thing.
Earlier you had said that you hadn't really cared about being a citizen until 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
So was that at WSU?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Because it would have been September. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So you were there.
So I went there because I think they're on semesters, so they start late by end like in May. Yeah, like, I knew I needed to be a citizen just to like get a job, but I think when 9/11 happened, like the meaning of it. And I got a choice because they did ask me, do you want to be a dual citizenship or do you want to give up your Polish citizenship? I was like, oh no, dual. Like, I'm not giving it up.
I didn't know that was an option. Okay.
Yeah. So I am a dual citizen. Both my passports are expired though. So I'm just, again, I don't belong anywhere.
We have 3 expired passports. In here.
Right. Yeah. So 9/11 happened while we were in college together, and we were like, I mean, we were dating, whatever that looks like. You know, we were very casual about it. It was just like, so, but yeah, that's where we met. And so we were criminal justice major. We both wanted to be cops. And then one of our teachers was like, if you guys just take 5 more classes, you can also get a bachelor's in sociology. And so that's what we did. We stayed like a semester on.
And did that change everything?
You know, looking back, maybe just because of my career change and his change and that kind of stuff, maybe.
So you, like, after you graduated, then you didn't pursue the police officer?
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes. So I pursued it. We both pursued it.
I was expecting you to, like, whip out a badge right now and be
No.
like,
So, you know.
this is an undercover operation.
Gosh, no. Although, again, with my, like, papers not going through and stuff, I'm like, maybe I could have done, like, I don't know, ninja stuff or something. Like,
where's the ninja department?
I know, where is it? Yes.
So are you officially, is it a therapist, a counselor? What's your title?
I am a licensed mental health therapist. Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that for?
I went to school in 2016, graduated in 2018, but I count the 2016 just because you do a couple classes and then you have to have hands-on experience.
Oh, so, a lot of work experience. Yeah.
So when we graduated WSU, I pursued law enforcement. I could not pass the push-up part of the physical test.
So that was it.
That couldn't do it. So then there was a women-only corrections officer hiring up in Skagit. I could not pronounce Skagit. I didn't know where Skagit was. I didn't know where Cedar-Woolley was. Like, none of it. And I was just like, the difference was like, and I'm making up the numbers because I just don't remember. For law enforcement, let's say it was like 35. For corrections, it was like 25. And I was like, okay, I probably, So I was like, I can do 25. So drove up here, passed the test, got interviewed. I think it took like 6 months because, you know, they do background checks and all that stuff. Which weirdly, this is 2005. I'm not married yet, but somehow in the system, they have no questions about my citizenship, about my legal, none of it. So I'm like, so pass the test, pass the interviews, I get hired, and I go to, so once you pass the test, you get hired, and you have to go test into the academy, the corrections academy for me. I failed the push-ups there. But the Skagit County Sheriff's Office, because that's who I was hired through, they were like, we're going to give you some time because we want to keep you. So I hired a personal trainer. Oh. And I said, because I was a high achiever back then, not anymore. I printed out the FBI physical requirements, hired a personal trainer, and we went to work for 3 months. And then the second time I went, I passed it just fine. So I was a corrections officer since 2005 to 2016.
And so does that mean you worked at the jail?
I worked at the jail.
Or prison, what do you call it?
So it's the county jail.
Okay.
Yeah. So difference between jail and prison is that when you initially get arrested, you go to jail. It could be city jail, but county jail, just because we can hold people for longer. When you get sentenced, anything under a year and a day, you will serve in jail. Anything above a year and a day, you will go to prison.
Okay.
Things like felonies, you know, just the worst you can think of. And then there's, you know, things like just misdemeanors. You might be your theft or possession of things. That usually has people in jail. However, and obviously this is like extreme, but when a person, let's say, comes, you know, they get arrested for murder, I mean, they sit with us. Or, you know, like if it's rape or like their, 10th domestic violence arrest, like it keeps getting greater and greater. So, but yeah, jails are mostly people who are, you know, serving time year and a day and under, or you just got arrested, or you had a really savvy lawyer and got sentenced to 3 years. But it's like, because we've had some people that were there like serving separate sentences. that was like 363 days.
Oh,
because they didn't want to go to prison.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's the difference. There's a lot of comparison between who has it harder. Are cops better than corrections officers? I would imagine like our nurses better or our doctors better than nurses or whatever. To me, it's like we do separate jobs, but we're in the same family.
Yeah.
So what's the sort of the goal for a lot of people that enter corrections is to go to the road. That's what we would say. So you do your time at the jail a little bit, you pick up some skills, then you go and test for a police department. After about like just 2 years in there, I was like, I love it.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to the road. Don't give me a weapon. Don't have me out on the streets. I love people coming in and just being here. So I loved my job until I didn't. I got promoted after 7 or 8 years.
So I'm picturing, like, I know there's probably lots of jobs at the the jail where, you're the person that they first see when they come in and you're doing all the personal belongings, or you're walking around their cells. Like, what specifically did you do? Or did you guys always rotate?
So we were all cross-trained. So initially the first couple years, you're working mostly with the inmates. So we would do, I have never been to the new jail that they've built. Once I left, I was like, I'm gonna just kind of
So the old one was in downtown Mount Vernon?
Downtown Mount Vernon,
and the
yeah.
new one's like just out of town?
Yeah. Anderson Road?
By the park and ride?
Yeah,
There? Okay,
yeah. So there's always 2 control rooms to run. So that just controls the doors, inmate movement, our movement.
Like computers.
Computer, yeah. Well, in the old jail, just buttons and like holding a button and sliding the door. The first year when you are learning it, you dream about buttons and lights and sounds all the time. It's like universal. So if somebody tells you like, no, I'm looking at a board of lights. So, and so then it was just, so we would, like wake up would be like at 6 a.m. Lights would go on. We would feed the inmates, deliver food. Then it was medication time. And then a lot of it was transporting people to and from court, to and from visitation with their lawyers, maybe
like driving them.
Not necessarily. If they went to court, yes, then we would. Well, there was one court that was across. There was a lot of court action happening just downstairs, but they would still have to get chained up. So if anybody tried to run or anything like that, they couldn't. Hopefully, and it never happened while I was working, not like because of me per se, but everybody was very much safety conscious. Lunch, dinner time, and then we would count people 4 times. So in the morning, after lunch, at bedtime, and then people were counted again. I believe it was either 2 or 3 in the morning. And so that was a big deal because you had to make sure, everybody was there. And then there was the part of paperwork. So there was an intake officer. So that would be the person that when you came in, whether you were charged with a new crime or you had warrants, we would enter that in. We would enter your property in. Funny fact, if you came in like wearing jewelry, you couldn't put diamond ring. You'd have to put clear stone.
Oh.
Because if somebody said, where's my diamond ring? And they didn't have a diamond ring, but I put down diamond ring. Oh. Now I'm liable for their diamond ring being missing. So,
oh, wow.
Yes. And then, so that would all get entered in a picture, that kind of stuff taken. And then there was like that was like the intake officer. And then there was the booking officer that was mostly dealing with paperwork that was generated throughout the day. And Thursday was always Superior Court Day, which was most of the felonies. That was the busiest day, but it was always my favorite day because time would go by so fast. Oh, I love that. And I enjoyed working with the inmates. I always thought I was respectful because they were in jail. Not that I didn't care why they were there, but you also have to numb it out a little bit so you can continue treating them like a human being. But I just respected them as much as I could. If there were some people that had differences, that whatever, but they were already having a bad day. Some of them were having a bad life. I wasn't about to make their life worse. They didn't do anything to me. I've been involved in a couple assaults. I was mad at those guys. But there is nothing I can do about it. You know, like I'm
Yeah.
not, number one, I'm not going to retaliate, but it's, you know,
Yeah.
so it was interesting. It's like, it's this weird combination of you have to be very aware of the danger around you, but you don't want to show fear. And that can become that can wear on you after a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was good at leaving work at work for initially, you know, once frustrations were building up, there was a period of time where I worked 12, 16-hour days continuously for weeks on end.
Wow.
When I started, we were rotating shifts every 28 days, which they have now found that is extremely unhealthy for just us humans. So,
Yeah.
so then we went to like a year rotation schedule, which was better.
Oh, so you're working like all nights for a month?
Yeah, so it
and
would
then
go
all
from
days.
like, you would work 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then in 28 days, you might go from a 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. or that swing shift from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And so you would just rotate constantly. And it's like, when do you rest? And working graveyard shift, man, it's just hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard. Some people liked it because it was quieter, and I'm putting in quotation marks because sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes you'd be like, oh, Mount Vernon is en route with 4 people and Burlington is bringing in 3 and 2 of them are fighting. And it's like,
Oh, man.
oh my gosh. So there was no quiet nights, and it was one of those like, if you said, oh, it's a quiet night. Yeah.
That happens at school.
You were buying like stuff the next day for your crew because you jinxed it. And it was, yeah. But you know,
That's
dealing
funny.
with like medical emergencies, you know, we had nursing staff, but medical emergencies, people withdrawing from drugs and alcohol.
I was just going to ask what the medical emergencies would be
gosh.
besides withdrawal. I mean, you probably had people in there like that were maybe diabetic.
Absolutely. People
And
with
they had no
diabetes,
supplies.
heart issues, people with mental health issues that would harm themselves. Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody walking in, a lot of people, let's say with diabetes, they don't take care of it on the outside. But as soon as they're in jail, they're like, I need my insulin. I haven't had it for 3 months. And it's like, how are you alive? Yeah, it would be like, I mean, it would be like bad. But yeah, just, you know, people coming in with just regular folks coming in with conditions. You know, somebody might get arrested, like, and they would like be battling cancer.
Wow.
And you're like, why are you here? Oh, maybe I got a DUI. It's like,
So how would they go to? Would they have to leave to go to chemo? Like, do you allow that?
so yes, there would be a medical appointment made, and then the judge could make a decision of like, I'm going to release you from custody, but you're going to be on house arrest.
Yeah.
And then you can like, maybe if they got convicted and sentenced, you know, do it. But if people were going through really hard medical stuff, it depended on them and their criminal history and the danger that they posed. So sometimes if somebody came in and was really sick, the judge would say, I will release you, but you need to come back. So like they would get actually released to the hospital. Like we would drop them off. Hey, the paper would say, as soon as you're done here, you need to come back and turn yourself in. Nobody wants to turn themselves in once you let them out of jail. 9 out of 10
one did
people are going to be like, I'm just going to let the PD catch me some other time. So sometimes they were just too much of a risk to society, community. So we would go and sit with them at the hospital. They would be chained to the bed, just kind of like you see in movies, that
Wow.
whole thing. And we would sit with them until they were discharged, and then they were coming back. And lots of people didn't like that, you know, people coming in and needing wheelchairs. I mean, we had those available, but it sucks because you're in a small cell.
When the inmates come in and, you know, you're working with them, like you have to think, doesn't matter what you did.
Mm-hmm.
You're a human being and
Yep.
I'm going to respect you. Was it the same thing, like in the reverse? Like, or were some people looking at you, like
Mhm.
the criminals looking at you going, oh, you're a pig like all the other
Right,
ones.
yeah.
Or were they like, I don't know you.
Yeah.
You seem fine. Like, I guess it depended.
It depended on the people. It depended on like the rapport you had with them. And I don't want to say like it was me, but I think it's the way that you approach people. Because there were certainly people that were very judgmental that were working there. And it was like, dude, they're having a bad day. They're like, Angel, well, they shouldn't have like done this. I'm like, I get it. That's why they're here.
This sounds so much like teaching.
You don't need to like shame them because it doesn't help anything. And if I don't have to fight you, we're going to be best friends if I don't have to fight you. And there would be people that would come in that were on drugs that were super duper strong. There was a lot of men coming in that were way taller and bigger than me. Why am I going to piss them off so that I can be like, oh, I'm wearing a uniform, and like stuff like that. The saddest thing when that kind of switch would happen is when somebody would start coming to jail and then they were addicted to drugs or alcohol, and you would see their demeanor change after a while. So it would come like, and I know this might sound weird. For some people, going to jail is just a normal occurrence and they don't know any different. So if somebody might come to jail 6 times a year, you were like, dude, that's way too much. They're like, oh no, that's fine. That's like, it's not 7. So it's sort of like people live these lives, right? And so like, but what was sad is like, if somebody was coming in, they wouldn't fight with you. They would be respectful. And most people were respectful. Like they would be like, crap, I'm here. Give me, okay, do you have a snack, sack lunch? And I'm like, did you not eat all day? No, I didn't. So, and when you could see the drugs taking effect on their bodies and on their minds. And that's when it become like, whatever relationship you've built with them, it didn't matter anymore. You had to wait for them to come off the drugs. And even then, sometimes, like I just always say, it was like they were not coming back. I think if you put that respect first, they respected you back. I remember one time there was a guy who was light-skinned and there was a guy that was dark-skinned, and they literally belonged to different organizations and gangs or whatever. And we had to keep them separate. They were like in different housing units. And then one time it was like, oh, they are going to court together. So we made sure that we chained one up before we brought the other one up. He was chained or whatever. And they were standing like on the wall, just kind of waiting to go. And then I see one of them like walk to the other. But like body language is like fine. And they shake hands. And I'm like, okay, I am so confused. Because you don't like him because of his race, and you don't like him because of his race. Like, what's up? And they were like, but we respect each other and what we stand for. And I was like, God, these guys are like geniuses if they could just get rid of their biases and all that stuff.
Use it for good, not evil.
Yeah, so that was just like, and I would learn so much from just watching people. My biggest lesson was one guy kept asking for stuff and I was new and I was like, well, maybe, I don't know. And then he was like, Izzy, it's a yes or a no. If you tell me maybe, I will spend your entire shift asking you. And I was like, thank you so much. I won't say his name, but I will remember the guy forever.
I love that.
He taught me like little boundaries.
No, that's important.
Yes or no.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank you. So that kind of stuff, like to me, that showed respect. He knew I was new. He could have messed with me. I was nice to him. Like he didn't do anything to me. And again, even when they did, it is not my job to go retaliate. Like that's not.
Yeah. So was your favorite part of that job? I mean, I think it would, for me, if I worked there, my favorite part would just be like you were saying, like just sitting and listening to the inmates.
Yeah. Just listening to them.
Yeah. There's time. We got time.
Yeah.
Tell me a story.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah, and I love that, and sometimes there wasn't because you're like, run, go, go, go. And it's like if there was a fight or whatever happened, people had, visitation and their families would come and they would leave, pregnant women coming into the jail and, or women that just had children or, somebody's, I don't know, parent or sibling or whatever died, or they had a child in the hospital. Like this stuff is happening to people. It's like I don't think any of us are immune to it. Yeah. And then you get arrested at the top of it because for some reason you're still making bad decisions. And so again, I've always kind of just looked at people like, try not to judge them, but I'm like, there is so much more than just the person that's standing in front of me. And I am not a saint. If somebody came in many times for like the same offense and then their attitude would start changing or, like I think we all like domestic violence. After a while, I'm like, dude, you don't respect women or you don't respect men or, whichever way, like, but again, I'm still going to feed you. I'm still going to take you to court. I'm still going to release you on time. Like, cause that's not my job. My job is not to make your life harder.
What was like the tipping point when you were like, I'm I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get into mental health.
Yeah.
Like,
So the tipping point is, I'm going to be very careful. Nice.
I can cut any of this out.
It was actually, so I think it was a combination of having kids and not being able to ignore that fear anymore. And I also
What
think,
fear?
like, just the fear, like I said, like you're in a dangerous situation because you've got people there who have done horrible things,
yeah.
but you can't necessarily show it. I think having kids, like, I realized I wasn't like invincible in a way. And there was a lack of training after a while. And then, and this is very counterproductive or intuitive, I got assaulted by the same inmate 3 times. And it was like within a 2-week span. And he wasn't necessarily coming for me, but he had like singled me out because he liked talking to me. And on one of those assaults, I got really hurt. And so when I filled out a claim, somebody, I'm not going to name names or ranks or whatever, I got pulled aside and asked, like, why did you write it like this? And I was like, well, that's what happened. Like, I fell. He went to swing at me. I took him to the ground and I, hurt myself. And they were like, well, but he's not the one that like landed on you. And I was like, my coworker landed on me, but my coworker didn't assault me. And this is like assault number 3. Like, I'm tired.
So they wanted you to sort of say like, oh, well, you got hurt because your coworker landed on you. Got it.
And for some reason, the tipping point was other coworkers, not inmates. And so after, I believe I was there for 11 and a half years. That half matters, I promise. Somewhere along the way, oh my gosh, maybe I was there for 9 years when I got promoted. There was just stuff that happened that I was like, I don't want to deal with that. Some of it was 1000% easier to go discipline an inmate than have to discipline a coworker. And I don't know how, like, would they be a subordinate? Is that the right word? Like, if you're their boss? Like,
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because an inmate might argue with you and you're just like, listen, here's the rules, here's what's up. A coworker talking back, like, or trying to spin something, like, no, you've been late to work 5 times this week. Other people have had to stay, which created overtime. What's up? How can we help? Well, it's not my fault that the train comes, whatever. Yeah, okay, we don't control trains. Like, you're in control of yourself. If the train for the last 3 days in a row came at the same time, why don't you leave the house a little bit early? We can't tell me when to leave the house. That's a conversation you have with your 2-year-old child that's refusing to get dressed, right?
Yeah.
It just became, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And so the stress my health actually took, I went to the hospital. I passed out in the middle of Home Depot. They thought I had, because I started getting these really bad migraines, and there would be times where I couldn't speak.
Wow.
And they were like, you got a tumor, but all the tests were like, you're fine.
It was just stress.
It was just stress.
Wow.
So now, and I try not to, I do not let it get to that point anymore. But now when I'm stressed and I sometimes struggle to find words, I'm like, that's, my body just responds that way.
Yeah.
So it, it was a buildup of things, I think. And then I was going to be a photographer. I was going to be a, wedding photographer. I was going to be an interior decorator. I was going to buy a barn and have weddings. Those were all my career goals. And I was like, I don't know how to do any of that. My education is in this direction. What the heck? The therapist that used to come and work with the inmates, I talked to her, and not, she wasn't my therapist, but I was just like, hey, I think I need to get out of here. She was like, you're great with people. Why don't you become a therapist? Now, my husband will tell you that I became a therapist because he is a drug and alcohol counselor. And bless him, He is very inspiring. Like I said, he needs to write a book about his journey. But it was her saying that I was like, okay. And then it was like, well, I got to go to grad school.
Well, sometimes, you tell your kids something and
Yeah.
they listen to you.
Yes.
And then a coach will tell them, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just need to hear the different tone or something. Yeah.
Sometimes I tell my clients things and then they come back a month later and they're like, my friend said this or somebody said this. And I'm just like,
I saw this post on Instagram that said this and you're like, I told you that.
I literally told you that. Yeah. But yes.
Because I saw the same post.
So, like,
and I just repeated it.
Right. Yeah. Hey, if
like,
I
wrote that post.
I will, there you go. I wrote it. Oh, I'll tell him.
Your own Instagram account to you.
I'll tell him if I'm stealing it or using somebody's, I respect people's intelligent, whatever content it is. But yeah, so yeah, it was just, she told me that. And so I was like, well, what do I need to do? And she was like, go to grad school. And so,
where'd you go?
So I went to Antioch University. Why? I don't know. That's what popped up when I Googled, therapy programs. It was online.
Just online.
And that's what I needed because I needed to keep working. And so the way that it worked out is I worked when I started school and then I needed to get doing internships. So then at that point I had to leave. And so.
Oh, so you're working at the jail
yes.
while you were taking these courses?
Yes. Yeah. And then they were like, well, it's sort of like basic, theories and stuff. And then as you're expanding your education, they want you to get that. It's funny, I always say, like, I love my education, but education is, I can read all the theories, but how do you talk to people? How do you listen to people? And so the education piece is great, but you need to learn sitting with people.
Well, that's what being a teacher is like too.
Yeah.
Like in teacher college, they try to teach you and give you all these scenarios, but until you're thrown into a classroom and figure it out on your own, you just don't know. And every year I learn more. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, if I had the time and money, I would for sure get a PhD just because I love learning. But like my criminal justice classes did not prepare me what it's like to talk to an inmate that just came in for like accused of murder. They talk about laws and rights, which is awesome. We need to have those. That doesn't teach you how to be in that job. And so nothing against education. Again, I love it, but there is a hands-on thing. So I went to school. I was still working at the jail. And then there came a time when they were like, you have to do an internship. So I went to Sunrise Services and they were like, yes, you can do it here, but we want you here full time. And so I was like, I guess I gotta like actually quit my job. So, and I've been thinking about, like with everything going on, it took about 2 years from the first thought of like, I don't like it here anymore. This doesn't feel fun anymore to, it took about 2 years, which I always say probably like a year and a half too long just because of the health stuff that I went through.
Then,
so
I think when I met you, I don't know if you still have it, but you had an office in downtown Mount Vernon.
Yes.
Do you still have
I'm
that?
still there.
Yeah.
I still have it. Yeah. It's funny. It used to be an old jail.
Oh.
Like, it's like when I was getting a tour, they were like, yeah, over here, they were like, part of this building used to be a jail and this was the courtyard. And I was like, it's like meant to be.
Yeah.
I think, looking back, like, I think that if maybe I'd said stuff sooner or maybe I took better care of myself because I was just go, 2 young kids. It was just, when somebody now tells me, they're like, oh yeah, get up for work at like, 3:30. I just like have like this physical response of like, no, never. Oh, they're like, oh yeah, I just work a 12-hour shift. I'm like, like I could not do it. But yeah, it was such a learning thing that I don't wish that it didn't happen because I wouldn't have like the knowledge that I do.
Yeah.
And then I always tell people and people are like, I hate my job. And I'm like, then you need to leave.
It's really easy. Just leave. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy to leave, but like it's an easy decision. Like,
yes.
If you don't like this and you try to change it, nothing happens.
Yes.
Leave. Yeah.
We went from, so as like, cause I understand finances, health insurance, that kind of stuff, time off, vacations, whatever. I went, and these are just kind of like made up numbers, but when I was working at the jail with overtime, and I worked a lot of overtime, I was making about $50+ an hour, had wonderful health insurance. at that point, being there for 11 years, I had vacation. I could take time off. When I went to Sunrise, I was making $16 an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Couldn't afford insurance. So the kids were able to get on state insurance. And then like James and I paid like the cheapest insurance we could afford. Yeah. That sucks. 2 kids, house mortgage, pets, all that stuff. It was scary. And so we just adjusted our lifestyle, and we don't have a big lifestyle. So, but it was kind of like, well, we can't go out all the time and we can't do this and that. I would do that all over again. And it was scary. It was and plus I am now accruing college tuition. I have a college loan, and adjust your lifestyle, work, do either, because sometimes, this was like this holding pattern too, because I was like, okay, when I get done with this, I'm going to open my own business. I'm going to work for myself. Yeah. And because COVID happened, I left that agency a little bit sooner than I actually planned to do it, but nobody predicted COVID, right? Yeah. And so it's just not worth staying in a place that is like, I literally thought I was going to like die. And I don't know if I had told you, like when we were talking, I was like 36, 37. And I remember having just this honest conversation with James saying like, 3 things are going to happen if I'm still at this place when I'm 40. I'm probably going to die because somebody's going to kill me at work. I'm going to have a health concern, or I'm going to do something I'm not going to be here. And so, bless his heart. He was like, but you're so good at your job. I'm like, that's not the point. I'm blacking out. I'm at the doctors all the time. This is not worth it. And so, yes, I took a ginormous pay cut. My insurance became so like, I don't think we went to the doctor for 2 years. We just, checkups for the kids, right? Yeah. But I would rather do that than be in that stress, because that stress was...
Now you're making more money and you're working less. Or
Correct.
You're working the hours too
I should work less, but I work too much. But that's my own doing, because I control my own schedule. But yes. I am... So kids being 15 and 12, like, it's so different than when they were infants, little, but... I control it. Like, I'm taking the week of Christmas off because I can. Now, if I don't work right now, I don't get paid. Like, nobody's I have to see people to get paid. But, money wise, yeah, it's a nicer paycheck, but and I've never done anything for money. For some reason, it's just been like pursuing what I've wanted, and nothing wrong if you are pursuing money. That's totally fine. But things are doable. And I think it's like we get stuck in our own thoughts. And I think there is still this big pressure. Go to college, get a good job, get married, have a kid, buy a house. None of that is bad or wrong. Is that what you want though? If you want to, like, one of the things I think about often is like, my kids talk about when they were little, I would work night shifts. So mom would come home, me, say, hello, give him kisses. James would take him to daycare. He would go and I would sleep. Sometimes, like, what got me to ask them was like, they would say like, oh, don't leave. Are you going to come back or whatever? And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like 4 or 5. Yeah. And they were like, cause we never saw you. Oh, and that was like, oh my God. And they understood that I had to work, and they understood like, that's the hours. But even now, it's like, oh, will we ever see you? I'm like, yeah, like I'm coming home, I'm not going anywhere. But that's, that passing of like just seeing them. I was telling somebody today with my oldest, I was able to take like full 3 months off, but with Lando, 5 weeks, and I had to go back to work because I didn't have I've used up everything. And so I did go part-time on like light duty and stuff, but 5 weeks, like if I thought of it too long, I'd probably cry. Like He was so tiny, and we had wonderful childcare, but I missed out. I missed out. And so, it is so doable. And it's like, I think money is important, we have to pay bills. And I know it's hard times for a lot of people. Is that your value though? Is that what you're really like looking forward to? And I don't know, like, I wanted to be a cop. It didn't work, but I got to do something in the area of law enforcement. And it was my dream until it just wasn't. Mm-hmm. And then I had a new dream and I pursued it. And I don't know if I'll be a therapist for the next however many years. But if it stops being fun, again, there is many things. I could get certified in specific things. I could like open an agency, whatever. I will pursue that. I'll never get stuck in like, I need to go to hospital because like I blacked out.
Like you were saying, the signs now.
Yeah. And so it is doable. My gosh, there are single parents out there working 3 jobs. They are doing it.
Yeah.
To achieve a goal or to get something. And I think this house, beautiful.
Yeah.
You've had to make some life decisions, but I think you keep pursuing your goals, your dreams. You know what's important.
Yeah.
Sure, money might be out there. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask what do you have a specific like area of your therapy, or is it just mental health?
Yeah. So my training is, it's funny, or my education is, my training is life. That's what my training is. So my education was specifically in clinical mental health for PTSD with military. Again, I don't know how I got there. It was just a Google search. However, PTSD being post-traumatic stress disorder that deals with trauma. That people that come to jail 7-8 times a year, life is not good. Something's happened. They're adults. They should be making better decisions, but something's happened. They are the way they are for a reason. And I think I was drawn to that.
I like that line that it's not an excuse, but it's a reason.
Yes. And so it's clinical mental health counseling with an area of PTSD. So I do work a lot with folks. I do not work with military people, not because like I just haven't had anybody call, you know what I mean? But I work with people in different professions, to just like include like healthcare, teachers. I appreciate all teachers. I love teachers. I don't have the patience to be a teacher. So, people from all walks of life, but lots of people do have trauma, and it's affecting their functioning, and a lot of people don't like to admit that they have trauma.
And so there are all these people from all walks of life, different ages, whatever, but they come because they're just not...
Yeah, they're like, maybe they're angry, they're snapping at their kids, they're snapping at their husbands, wives, they're angry, maybe they cannot keep a job, maybe their health is crap, and they're just like, I've had every test imaginable and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. And so, trauma can be, anything. It can be anything from, you've been in a really bad car accident. You were like sick as a kid. Maybe you come from a one household parent. Maybe there's abandonment issues. Maybe there was physical, emotional, psychological abuse. It can be anything that's affected your nervous system and how you view the world. And so, I always say it's like a luck of the draw. It's so a lot of like high functioning people that you would look and be like, man, that person's got it together. They're whatever. Oh, that person is tired because they have to put on a mask and they're like, in charge of something, and they're just like, but they go home and they numb out, or they maybe drink a little too much.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people come in when they want things to be one way, but they just can't make themselves do it. And so there's like that friction of what I want to do and what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I work with adults. I don't work with children. I wasn't drawn to that. And I do just individual, folks. I don't do family therapy because I think that would be so hard, like managing so many people in a room. 18 up.
Do you have like I'm just curious, like, so do you, like, in terms of like, I just think about, at school we have a class size, so, it's 32 or something like that. So is there a certain point, like, do you see people, is it the same schedule? Like, you see your clients once a week or sometimes once a month, or sometimes every other day, or is it like 1 hour or 2 hours, or does it depend on the person?
So it depends on the person. It depends on what my schedule allows. To me, from personal experience and just work, once a week therapy is the best because a lot happens in a day and a lot happens in a week.
For 1 hour?
For 1 hour. If somebody has the need to be seen more than once a week, again, if schedule allows it, I'll do it. I try to have my schedule so I have some flexibility. So if we go like overtime, it's like fine because I'll like either have a 15 or 30-minute buffer. And once a week is best. Once a month, if you come in and say, here's what happened, like I was physically abused as a child and here are my symptoms and I just want to come in and deal with it once a month, we're going to open so many wounds and so many memories, and you're going to continue, like, because I do work a lot with people on coping skills.
Like, do you say, oh, you think it'll be once a month?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you'll want to come in more.
Correct, because I also want to see you and I want to talk to you. And once you start talking about stuff, more stuff comes up. But I also want to make sure that you have coping skills. So so most people have some kind of a coping skill, but it's kind of like, whether it's slowing down and breathing, whether it's like, hey, don't numb out on your phone, go for a walk. There is that, it's like 5 things you see, 4 things you hear. It's like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown. I always say like screaming into a pillow or punching a pillow, like get that out. Many people label emotions as good or bad. Anger is there to let you know what's important to you and what you're tired of. But if you're taking it out on yourself or your family, that's not what we want to do. And, some people, again, lots of people they don't like hearing the word trauma. So it's like, okay, let's remove that. Let's look at what has happened and how it's affected you. And so, yeah, what I will do is, and again, I can say that and then it's kind of like, am I going to let you on my schedule once a month?
Yeah.
I will until I'm like, okay, now we're just rehashing. We're not giving any more information. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to help, so.
I just think like I went to a physical therapist and, I had to get some stuff done before I could run again. And,
yeah.
I was just thinking about how like the goal to go to physical therapy is to not need physical therapy.
Correct.
So is that the goal of mental health therapy? Like you're like, hey, I'll help you for a bit, but the goal is to get you out of here.
So depends. Okay. Depends on your school of thought. If I am seeing, so I have personally, at one point I had been with, until she retired, I had been with one therapist for 7 years.
Wow.
Once a week for most of it. And then we went to like every other week. And then I would take breaks. It would be like 3 months here. Maybe, I think 6 months was the longest. And it was driven by me. It's like what initially when I got in there and I was like, hey, here's what happened in my life. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think the goal is to feel better about yourself, because we don't like ourselves half the time and we're so mean to ourselves. It's like sad sometimes. And there's times where I'm like, somebody's telling me something and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to cry because they're so mean to themselves. But it's to feel better about yourself, to learn to cope with some of these things, because we can't undo any of it, but we have to find a way to have either the memories or these unhealthy coping skills to stop hijacking your life. So whether it's minimizing the frequency, let's say somebody has flashbacks and that would be like a big, symptom of PTSD. We would work on minimizing the intensity and frequency of it. And so, yeah, if you're in therapy for, let's say 6 months to a year and you're like, man, I really feel good. Can we take a break? Or I'll call you when I need you. Absolutely. Trick is, please use your coping skills every single day so you can maintain. Yeah. Some people, and my husband and I have this conversation quite a bit because he is he's in the drug and alcohol field. The big goal is to stop using substances. For me, it's more of emotion memories. You can't really touch it. So, but yeah, there is a school of thought like, I want to feel better and then I want to stop coming to therapy. That's fine. I leave that up to the people that come in.
Yeah.
Because, I love this question. I don't mean that, really. It's, how long is it going to take to fix me? I am not fixing you.
They walk in and say that?
Yeah. How long is this going to take?
My wife is making me come here.
If I had $1, I would be retiring. Really? Yes. I was laughing about this with a friend the other day because there's this funny...
The wife sent the list, like, ask me about these things, please.
Yes. So here's... I laugh because there was this poster or whatever in a newspaper printed some time ago that it said people come to therapy to talk about people that should be in therapy. That is sometimes true, not always. But, yeah, oh my gosh. My wife says I should be here. My mom says I should be here. My boss says I should be here. Wow. And so when it is like a family, I'm just like, okay, well, tell me more. What are they seeing? And sometimes I would, let's just say 50% of the time, I'm like, yeah, they should probably be here. Not that you shouldn't because you've been affected. Yeah. But yeah, when they bring that list, so then we work on boundaries and hey, maybe you can learn to speak up for yourself and feel good about that. Like,
don't say maybe all the time. Say
right.
No.
Exactly. See?
Yes. I'm never going to forget that now either.
Gosh, yeah. I think not a lot, but I think of him often because yeah, it's like, you know, because it's hard. It's hard to like set a boundary or.
It's really cool too how someone can say one thing and you'll never forget it. You know how people say don't Google WebMD.
Girl, I'm Googling stuff all the time. I am the Google expert because.
Try online therapy first, maybe just general, like.
Yeah. I would say
get it out, whatever it is.
Yeah. Get just very clear on what is bothering you. But be just very nice and kind and compassionate to yourself because we judge ourselves so much.
Yeah.
So
I think having a lot of people don't have that friend.
I was just going to say.
With and say,
yeah, reach out. Yeah.
What am I doing?
Reach out to a friend, to a trusted person. Listen, if that's a stranger on the internet, if you want to like look up groups, absolutely do it. Read books, listen to podcasts that are related to maybe what you have gone through. If you can, and I know this is extremely hard for adults, find a friend, join a community, join a group. It can be anywhere as like an exercise class, maybe start taking walks in the afternoon. If religion is your thing, you know, maybe join a church. If you love watching sports, maybe find out if somebody is hosting something. I think where people struggle, number one, they've been judged. And then you realize, holy smokes, the thing that I'm doing, I don't like it. And now I have a judgment about it. And so, cause, you know, these things show up differently for different folks. I once watched, it was just a part of the show. It was about people pleasers that don't speak up. Some guy was in a parking lot. Somebody got into his car thinking he was the Uber driver. He drove him and he didn't say, hey, get out of my car. I'm not your ride. Because he felt he couldn't. He didn't want to offend the stranger that accidentally got into his car. He drove him an hour away. That's where his destination was.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember when I first saw it, I thought to myself, because I always say I'm a recovering people pleaser. I was like, this is crazy. I'm like, at least I'm not that bad. But then sometimes I look at it and I'm like, oh, a meal arrives that I didn't order. Well, I'm going to eat it. I might be allergic to half of it, but okay, that's fine. It's like being clear. But yeah, Googling is fine. Just be careful because Google will tell you, you've got, you know, all these things. Reading, there's some great like books or just even like articles about it. There are some, and I'm trying to think off the top of my head and I can't, but there are some helpful things online. Instagram pages, Facebook pages,
There's
Facebook
a couple
groups.
Instagram pages or accounts I found that I really, really like. So maybe we'll post them in the comments.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. You know, it's great to have my own business, but I struggled a lot with like loneliness, feeling alone. And it took me about 2 years. And I've been in private practice for 3, so most of it. It took me 1.5 years when I had like a long time, between clients, to be like, you can go to a coffee shop and just get a coffee and read your book. I don't want to leave my office. I was like paralyzed to leave my office.
Oh, wow.
I can get really bad anxiety.
Yeah.
That was life change. I was just like, just do it. What's the worst thing that can happen? And then I was like, there's got to be other therapists in the area. And there are literally across the street from me in the other building. But I also hired a consultant that I pay out of pocket just to have somebody to talk to about my business.
Yeah.
I was so stuck in my head. I was judging and I was like, I don't need help, all that stuff. And it was like, you've got to stop. I think when you get that feeling of this isn't working, like, yeah, waking up feeling like crap, going, I think, I try and remember, I know it was during COVID. I'm not a drinker, but I was like drinking. And then I was like, what are you doing? And I like had to have a serious conversation with myself going, why are you doing this? Well, you're stressed. Why are you, you've never done this before. And I didn't drink for, I counted it. It was 1 year, 11 months, and like 10 days. And then I had a drink, it was our wedding anniversary. And I had that drink and I was like, this is cool, but I don't need it. And I just, because I not considering myself like having an addiction, but I had to face myself. I'm like, what? This is going to end up terribly. Do you really want to let it go that far? Finding online things, looking to people that have been sober. It's like, oh, okay, people are doing it and it's changing their life.
It's really cool. I've had a bunch of friends who have been sober for about over a year. And
and it was so interesting. Like even getting feedback from friends or family, some people were like, ooh, do you have a problem? Please don't do that if somebody tells you they're not drinking. Because they might have a problem.
Yeah.
Ooh, do you have a problem? I'm not drinking. Please respect it.
Also, we all have problems.
Yeah, yes, we do. Again, can't go to a coffee shop because God knows what's going to happen. I've had people say you're no fun or you're killing my buzz because I feel bad drinking. That's not my problem. Me not drinking is causing you to reflect. How about we talk about it?
You are going to love my podcast I'm recording next week.
Yeah.
Do you know Maudie Wellner? She's a life coach.
Yes, I've heard the name.
She's been on my podcast before.
Yeah.
And I think she hasn't drank for 7 or 8 months.
Nice.
And she's having lots of experience like that. Very eye-opening and just kind of life-changing. And so I said, hey, you come on and we'll talk about your sobriety. And she's like, sure.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Comments like that. And then comments like, hey, man, I've been wanting to do that. How come you didn't tell me? I would have done it with you. Or going to a friend's house and like, is somebody not knowing and it's like, hey, you want a beer? And they're like, Izzy's not drinking right now. I was like, oh my God, that's so awesome. It's just like, and I got this, the app was I Am Sober, and I think you can get it for free for a while. I put my goal in there and gym bros, I love you, but the toxic positivity drives me crazy. But finding your why, my why was, I was like, I am tired of going against myself. And
you talked earlier about like going on your phone and numbing yourself.
Yeah. And it's like, because I have been in therapy and I am a therapist, like, but do you need to go to therapy to have these realizations with yourself? Probably not, but you have to hold yourself accountable. You have to just say, and I use that app every day for that over a year. And then again, it was just kind of like, I have a handle on it and will I have a casual drink? Yes, but I am not back in that mind frame, Well,
and you either make the choices or it's almost like the choices are made for you. Like you're passing out. Like you could have made those positive choices when you're working, but you also weren't aware of the signs. But there's a lot of people that are very aware of the signs of what they're doing to themselves and they're still turning that blind eye. So
there's just a lot of resistance. There are plenty of things that I need to work on that are still holding me back. And I am working on it, but I pay close attention to like, why is this so hard or why is this taking me so long? And there is a big fear, like a huge fear.
Did you say earlier that you wanted to write a book?
I would love to write a book.
Okay, so the War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
Yes.
Have you heard that?
Yes.
That book? Have you read it?
I have read half of it.
Okay. Well, because he talks about resistance.
Yes.
And so the fact that you can't write your book, that means that your book is going to change. Your book is going to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
Resistance in the being fear.
Yeah.
That's holding you back.
Yeah.
Which is a good sign because that just means you're doing something important.
Correct. Yeah.
So-
And, I look at it too because I look, and I guess this is what I do in therapy. It's like, okay. And I mean, I'll be vulnerable and open. It's like, it's a fear of judgment. It's a fear, it's a lack of book writing, right? I mean, I would like to write a fiction and a nonfiction, but it's like, it's a fear of judgment. It's a fear of letting myself be seen and heard. The fact that I'm doing this, I'll probably go home and pass out from fear, but I'm not, I'm fine. I'm enjoying my time.
When you get home, so I know you get home safely.
Yes. But like, I know where it comes from, and it's sometimes just too painful to like touch it. And I know what it shows up, and that resistance at some point, it's a protection, but at some point it becomes a hindrance. And that's when I think people need to be honest with themselves and say, just saying, and I say this to my kids too, I'm scared. You don't have to do anything else with it, but just say, I am scared, instead of like, I'm stupid and I never finish anything. And what is wrong with me? Everybody's doing it. They're all scared too. They're just aware of their fear and they are like managing it. It's like going alongside of them. That's what I like to do, just kind of in therapy when somebody comes, this is what's going on. This is why, whatever. Okay. Where did it come from? Okay. Here is where it came from. What's your judgment of it? What's your judgment of yourself? I think we are all suffering from such low self-worth. Whether it came from somebody, we continue to carry it.
Well, you talked about someone who was had toxic positivity.
Yes.
I like the idea of, I forget who brought it up, but it was negative visualization. So
yes.
You write this book.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yes.
Two things. No one reads it.
No one reads it.
Or everyone makes fun of it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Izzy, no one cares about anyone else
right.
but themselves.
I do. No. Yes. No, absolutely.
Everyone is the main character in their own movie.
Yeah.
People will go, cool, you wrote a book. And nobody will even read
and
it.
nobody, yeah.
So what, you just think, like, okay, what's the worst thing that happens? I write the book, my family reads it, that's it. Yeah. Who cares?
Or they won't.
Okay, there's a few people that I've had on recently who said they're going to write a book. Mm-hmm. So I think I might start this Gadget Storytellers book club.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But we just meet once a month.
Yeah.
At the library, maybe your office, I don't know.
Heck yeah.
We literally just go, where you at?
Yeah.
You wrote a chapter? Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you wrote a page? Cool. You have a book cover design? Cool.
I know.
We just show up and just share. Or tell me why you haven't. And that's it. No judgment.
Yeah, I've been, which I know for me, it's getting me closer to something. I have notes on my phone with ideas but I have been looking, they're doing it a lot, and a free one is always good, like what you just mentioned, but there are groups like Facebook groups. That's what I've been looking at. There's year-long programs where they do it like twice, I believe twice or once a month, where people log into Zoom, if you're cool with that, and you just write together. Because I think...
Oh, like right there.
Yeah, just right there.
Cool. Yeah.
Because anytime I go sit down to write, guess what? I remember I have laundry to do, and I need to get an oil change in my car, and my kid needs something.
But what if you had that deadline of like, the last Friday of the month,
yes,
we meet at the CJOY Library, and Liz is going to say,
yeah,
what have you worked on?
Yeah. No, I just won't show up. No, I'm just kidding. You have my number.
I know where you live.
You know where I live. There you go.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would be down for that because,
I think Monty, who's going to come on soon, I think she would be down for that too.
I love that.
And who knows? It could start something.
It could start something.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know where this would go, and look, we're here.
This was fun. And I'm telling you, I'm going to go home. I'm going to freak out. But I'm going to be fine. And this was a challenge.
Yes. And I'll send you the draft to make sure it sounds okay.
Oh, you're going to assume I'm going to listen to this? Okay. I will listen to this, Liz. I will.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And I'll put your handle in the description if someone wants to reach out. And
yeah.
But honestly, I think if people just overall have mental health questions, I mean,
it's
just nice to talk to someone who knows. And
it's
2 seconds out of your day to be like, oh, go here and do this.
And do that. Yeah. There are a lot of free resources out there.
And you just sometimes need direction as to like where to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. And because I mean, I read all kinds of books, but there are a lot of good books that I can also put in the thing, or if people ask, I can be like, hey, go read this and see what you think about it.
Yeah.
So there is a name for it. bibliotherapy or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I still think we need that component of talking to a person, but it could be a friend.
That's why I think
Could
the
be a friend.
in-person writing group would be better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll show up. We'll talk for 10 minutes about what
Yeah.
you've done. And then we just
And then
write.
zip it.
We
Yeah.
write for half an hour.
Yeah. I love
We
it.
all exchange phones.
Yeah.
That way we can. That way we have a phone near us.
Yeah.
But we're not going to touch it.
Touch it. Yeah. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
First meeting, 2025.
Yes.
We'll make sure to alert the masses. And
Yes.
Might have to rent the big room.
Oh my gosh. That'd be great.
All right. Thanks for coming over.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Oh,